Behind the Tool Belt, episode 320, Culture Touchpoints in the Weekend We Built a House. We have a kind of a belief system that either we're going to push you up or we're going to push you out. I don't want to be around 5 other people that aren't pushing themselves to succeed. Success isn't about taking, but giving value first. Compensation follows contribution always. This is true authenticity. It's the truth. Every week, this is our story. We share with you our journey. We share with you our scars.
Please welcome your host, Ty Cobb-Backer.
Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, the show where we are building teams, building great businesses, and sometimes literally building houses. And I am your host, and welcome to episode 320. And you might be able to hear it in my voice. I'm still running on that kind of energy that only comes from a weekend where our whole company shows up, they roll their sleeves up, and they do something bigger than any one person could possibly pull off alone. So this past weekend, we were at the York Home and Garden Show with the team. And I'm telling you, what happened was special. I mean, it's always a special time of year, but this year was, for me, a little more intentional, a little more strategic. And I kind of want to share some of that, some of my, sitting back, observing, watching things unfold, and why you as a business owner, sales manager, or team leader, or anybody, and really, I don't think it's going to matter what industry you're in. I'm sure they have some type of expos and things like that. So anyhow, hold on, buckle up, whatever you got to do, put it on mute, put the freaking what's that subtitle up on the bottom, whatever you got to do. Anywho, so this past weekend, man, we met homeowners who, genuinely needed help with their homes. We had conversations that weren't just, quick, hey, nice to meet you type of conversations, but real human face-to-face interaction where you can see the relief, in someone's eyes when they realize, okay, these people can actually help me. And it was really cool to experience that and watch that. So, we got to watch our production team build out the display. And when I say build out, I mean literally built a freaking house, a full display that made people stop in their tracks. And we watched the sales team show up early, ready to meet and greet, homeowners like they were welcoming guests to their own homes. And it was cool. And I think we're going to change some of that up to make it a little more, cozy, a little more approachable. And, the wildest part about that, the number of homeowners who walked up and said, a version of like, we came here to see you guys. This is why we're here. We came to meet you. And that's not a sales tactic. That's real trust. That's true loyalty. And that's brand awareness, meeting real life. And that's culture meeting the community. So today I want to talk about, why the events like this matter so much to us, and not as a go spend money on, marketing pitch, definitely not as a rah sales episode. I want to use this, to be useful to, any business owner, sales manager, salesperson, anyone who's trying to build something, that lasts. And because what we got to experience at the home show is what happens when your culture is healthy, your brand is consistent, and your teams align. And the best part about this, the payoff isn't just, what happens in the building that weekend, but the payoff is what happens in the weeks and months after the appointment set on the spot, calls that come in all year long, sometimes even years later, and a reputation that keeps compounding like interest. And I don't know, it was freaking amazing. So let's start with the scene. Okay, from my best recollection of the scene. Okay, some of it's behind the scenes, but so if you've ever done a show, okay, so picture this: it's early, it's cold. In our case, the building's freaking huge. There's a mix of excitement. There's a mix of chaos. Trucks unloading, pallets rolling by, people with lanyards, clipboards, moving in every direction, power cords, tools, tape, coffee cups everywhere. And then there's your team. Okay. And I'm personally learning something really fast at an event like this. Like, you can't fake alignment. If your culture is fractured, okay, it shows. If departments don't respect each other, it shows. If leadership says one thing and does another, it definitely shows. And it was really cool we've done these enough where everybody kind of knows their job, and it's really wild and nice to see everyone work cohesively together. You know, when people are connected, they actually like being a part of the same mission. And at events like this, it becomes the stage where the best parts of our company come to life. So I watched our production team, work like absolute professionals, measuring, assembling, problem solving, not complaining when something didn't go right. When something didn't fit perfectly, and there was some of that. There was a lot of that actually that happened because we store this thing for a year, and things happen, and things don't work out right. But I didn't hear any blame. I didn't hear any finger pointing. Just adjustments. They were just adjusting. Hey, go grab this. These were short. Hey, grab that. That was broken. Hey, paint this because that needs touched up. And moving forward. Okay. And I kept thinking, this is the unseen part of the business that customers don't always appreciate, but they feel it. Okay. Because when a homeowner meets you at a show, they're not just evaluating, your brochure or your booth. They're evaluating you as a whole operation. Okay. Your organization, you and the people that are proud, you could sense how proud everybody was on what we do and we look like a team. So people observe that, and it's not, we're not just like a 10 by 10 booth where everyone's wearing, matching t-shirts with the same name tag on it. Like, it was a well-oiled machine. And then our sales team, same thing. Okay. They showed up with energy, not fake high pressure energy. And I'm talking about like a genuine presence. Okay. Smiles that weren't rehearsed. We did zero rehearsing. We had zero scripts, conversations, that weren't scripted, the kind of vibe that says, we're glad you're here. Thank you for coming to see us at the show. Just real, true, authentic smiles. And it was really nice to sit back and be able to observe our team, and when you can put those two things together, okay, production, sales, field, frontline, all that good stuff. You're not just creating leads, you're creating confidence amongst your team members, your co-leadership, your different departments. And I hate the D word. We're creating confidence in production. We're creating confidence in our sales team, and we're creating that moment where homeowners think, okay, these people have it together, right? And I really feel like we do have it together. And here's something that I want to say clearly, because I think a lot of business owners and sales leaders miss this. And trust me, I watch and see what everybody else is doing out there as well. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not bad mouthing. We've been doing this a long time. I've been fortunate and blessed enough to have a great team to be able to pull off large events, small events, and just create magic at times. I think sometimes, I don't know how the hell we did it, but somehow, some way, we tend to pull things off pretty successful. But the home show wasn't just successful, because we had the booth. It was successful because our team showed up like a team. Everybody did. Everybody. And I want to unpack that, because there are lessons in it that apply to any and all industries. It doesn't matter if it's trades, doesn't matter if it's tech, doesn't matter finance, retail, real estate. It doesn't matter. But let's talk about culture for a minute. Okay, because culture is one of those words that gets thrown around so much. It can start to feel like wallpaper. Okay, like culture. Ty's going to talk about culture again. And ping pong tables and team lunches and motivational posters. That's not culture. Okay, culture is what your team does when they're under pressure. Okay. And there was a lot of pressure. There was timelines, there was deadlines. We only had a short window of opportunity to get this building, this house inside of another building, another structure. Culture is how people treat each other when nobody's getting the credit. Okay. Culture is whether your people choose to carry the load together or quietly hope that somebody else will. And I've watched, not this past weekend, but I've watched that. I'm guilty of it myself. And at an event like the York Home and Garden Show, puts culture on full display. It tests it. It's early mornings, it's long days on your feet, it's reporting, repeating, the same answers over and over with patients. It's staying sharp even when you're tired. And trust me, it's long days. My back hurt. I could come up with a million excuses of why I could have stayed home or did whatever, opposed to going to, the home show. There was times where I know the team was hungry. It's handling those little problems without them turning into big drama from the beginning to the end, to tear down, from setup to tear down and everything in between. And here's the thing, those moments bond people together. That's probably one of the biggest, most beautiful things that I've got to experience over the years since we've hosted our own events, since we've attended events, from traveling around the country and watching how poorly shit has been put together, experiencing great expos to mediocre expos to everything in between. And it was nice. It's nice to come home and experience our own team pull together and get through the stressful moments, cut through the timelines and all that amazing stuff. And the thing that I learned early on, these things are about, not just people bonding, but it's about working shoulder to shoulder, physically building something, solving problems in real time that creates trust faster than 100 meetings ever would. It's about team building. Okay. But most of the time, team building is artificial. People talk about it, and I think they don't know how to create a team building event. And home show has always been one of those great moments for us to be able to do that in real time and learn a lot from it, because it's there. Once it's done, it's done. And it's there for the world to see. So, because you have to have people you have to have amazing people, and they have to know their role. Okay. And everybody can see the role everyone else is playing. And you get to see, the salespeople get to see the production side of things. The production gets to see, sales do their magic, and vice versa. And it all works in unison. And I talk a lot about that in our meetings here. But leadership, under those circumstances, leadership can't hide, right? That's where it exposes itself. Okay. If there's poor leadership, you wouldn't be able to create things of this type of scale. I mean, it would just show. And trust me, you can pull it off, and we've pulled it off where under poor leadership, and 9 chances out of 10, it was under my leadership. But we got through it, and we debriefed, and we discovered where the deficiencies and the gaps and what we could do better and what we shouldn't do the previous year, and so on and so forth. But people can feel that. Okay. They don't have to, they don't have to say anything. They can feel it, and they walk away, whether, excited or not excited, because of how poorly it was ran or how successful it may have ran. But I'm going to get probably a little specific here, because I want you to picture what I mean. When I saw our production team building the display, and again, literally building a freaking house inside this building, I didn't just see a display. I saw craftsmanship. I saw our standards. I saw this is how we do things. And I mentioned that in the company photo. And I saw homeowners' faces when they walked up. I mean, it was astounding to see people like, wow, this is great. It's the biggest booth. And it wasn't a stroke of ego. It was just, this is what we do, and we have the people to do it. We're not a paper contractor. We are an actual construction company, and we build shit. We build teams. We build houses. We build roofs. We build culture. We build things, and we put that on display. We're not, it was mind blowing. It was good. It was proof that, somebody on our team knows what the hell they're doing. That's what it was. You know what I mean? From the production side to the sales team. And you got to have good people on your team, because we're not trying to convince someone that we're legit. We're letting them experience it. And that's culture. Culture is the habits and the standards that show up in public. Okay. And here's a question every business owner should ask themselves. Okay. If my team had to represent us publicly for 3 straight days, face to face, with hundreds or thousands, in this case, it was thousands of people, would I feel proud or would I feel nervous? And if you answer nervous, that's not a marketing problem. That's a culture problem. And now let's talk about the brand awareness, the omnipresence, because I know the phrase can sound like corporate fluff. Okay. But brand awareness is one of the most practical things in business, especially if you sell something that involves trust. And roofing, that there's a lot of trust involved. Okay. It's stressful. It can be stressful for people. It's a lot of money. And you got to be trusted to do that. And here's why, because customers don't just buy the best option. Okay. They buy the option they feel safe choosing. Okay. When a homeowner is deciding who to call, they're not only thinking who can do the job. So much think. They're thinking, who will show up? They're thinking, who will respect my home? They're thinking, who won't disappear after I give them my deposit? Who will communicate? Who will fix it if something goes wrong? That's trust. That's what we're building. Trust is built through touch points. Okay. And we talked about touch points before, and I'll probably talk about them again, but a touch point is any moment someone experiences your brand, your name, your people, your work, your reputation. And most businesses underestimate how many touch points it takes before somebody feels comfortable picking up the phone and calling you. Okay. Think about your own life for a minute. Okay. How often do you hire someone the first time you see an ad? You don't. Usually you don't. Okay. You see the name once, then again, then you notice a truck, then you see a billboard, then you see him at an event, then you think, oh yeah, I've heard of them. It takes several touch points. And then one day you actually need the service. You pick up the phone, you call them, and that's how that works. So when we were at the York Home and Garden Show, we weren't just there. We were there creating touch points that scale. Okay. We were giving people a chance to meet us, hear our voice, shake our hands, ask questions, and feel our professionalism in real time. And that's really what it was about. And at that moment, when homeowners walked up and said, that's why we came to meet you, that's the payoff of touch points. Okay. They saw us someplace. And I even asked the homeowner, where have they saw us? And she was like, well, I've seen your billboards. I've seen your yard signs. I've seen your trucks. And when she talked about the yard sign, she was like, yeah, there's a house over there on South Salem Church Road that must be getting a lot of work done because there's always a yard sign there. I was like, that's my house. And no, I'm not getting work done all the time, but I just leave a yard sign in my front yard. So they work. All of that stuff works. When you think it's not, it really, truly is. And it just takes repetition and consistency, time and time and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. And that means she had already had enough exposure to our brand, and that we were, part of, and that they were, she knew what she was looking for because she had saw all of those other touch points. Right. And the cool thing is that she woke up, she got in her car, she drove to the show, and she was very intentional about who she was coming to see. And that just really felt good. Not just because we begged them to come see us, not because we pressured her into come seeing us, because we were top of mind. Okay. And that's what brand awareness does. Okay. It makes you the obvious choice. And when someone finally needs you, they're going to call you. And it's not just the hype, even though we hype it up. And it's not magic. It's repetition and it's consistency. Like, I can't express that enough. And here's an important piece to that. Okay. I want to emphasize, especially for sales managers and business owners, brand awareness is not just the marketing department. Okay. It is your brand is your team. Your brand is how people interact. Our people interact. Your brand is whether you show up on time. Your brand is whether your booth looks put together. Your brand is the energy that you bring. Your brand is how you handle tough questions. Okay. Your brand is whether you treat a not ready yet, okay, customer with the same respect as someone who's ready to buy. Okay. That's brand. So when you invest in an event like the home show, you're not only buying a booth, okay, you're buying a chance to put your culture on display. Okay. And when your culture is healthy, that display is powerful. And I feel like it was a very powerful weekend. And I'm going to shift here a little bit, shift into the part that a lot of people are thinking about, but maybe don't want to say out loud, and the return on investment. Okay. I can't ignore that, because even if your culture, even if you're a culture first leader, which I hope you are, you still have to run a business. Okay. You still have to look at time and money and say, does this make sense? We talk about it all the time. And here's what I've learned. Events like this have two kinds of ROI. Okay. First, you have the immediate ROI, okay, where you're able to set appointments on the spot. That's straightforward, that's measurable, and that's the kind of results people like because you can point to that and say, we spent this and we got this back. Okay. But the second kind of ROI is the one that changes companies. This is the long term. This is the long game. Okay. The long term ROI. The calls that you get all year long, 6 to 12 months later, sometimes even years later, we've gotten calls from people that, yeah, we've seen you at the home show. We got one of your t-shirts. We grabbed one of your bags. We got one of your fly swatters. We got one of your koozies. We took a picture of your display because it was amazing. You blew everybody out of the water. We made an impression, a lasting impression. We gave them a wonderful first impression of us and on how we conduct business. Okay. And referrals that happen because a homeowner, told a neighbor. We met them at the home show. They seem solid. I don't know how many times I've heard that. The brand recognition that shows up 6 months later when someone sees your trucks and thinks, oh yeah, I know that company. They feel like they know us. Okay. And that's long-term ROI. And it's hard to measure. I would admit that, but it's very real and you can't ignore it. It's like planting. Okay. Like you don't plant seeds and then stare at it and start yelling, grow, even though I've done that. Grow, damn it. But you can't do that. You got to water it, right? Like the seeds that you plant, you have to water them. You have to stay consistent. And then when the harvest comes later, that's what the home show is. Okay. It's planting. And if you're only willing to do things that pay you back, instantaneously, then you will stay stuck. You'll just stay stuck in a constant cycle of short-term urgency. And you'll always be chasing. Okay. You'll always be reacting, always trying to get leads now. And unfortunately, it just doesn't happen that way because when you invest in long-term touch points, you start building a pipeline that has true depth. Okay. And that changes how your business feels. Okay. It changes the pressure that's put on your team, right? It changes how you can schedule. It changes on how, you hire. It changes everything. It changes your confidence. It changes not just in the owners or the sales managers, but in your production, in your sales team. It changes their confidence. Okay. Now I want to make this useful for somebody. So let's give you a little simple framework here. If you're going to do an event, trade show, home show, community festival, conference, think of 3 phases: before, during, and after. Most companies only focus on during. I've watched it. I've seen it. I experienced it. Okay. Done it. Been there. Did it. Okay. They show up. They stand there. They hope it works. And then they're surprised when the results are random. Okay. But the winners handle all 3 phases. Okay. In phase 1, before the event, there's where you build a system that makes the event work. Okay. Before the show, you should know, what is our goal? Okay. We set a goal. Okay. Is it brand awareness? Is it appointments? Is it partnerships? Is it recruiting? Is it re-recruiting your team? Is it customer retention? Okay. Pick one main goal and then support it with a secondary goal. Okay. And before your goal is everything, your team won't know what winning truly looks like. Okay. Then define the roles. Okay. Who's greeting? Who's qualifying? Who's capturing information? Who's handing out materials? who's making sure the booth is staying cleaned and stocked, who's managing breaks and rotating sales teams in and out so nobody gets burned out. Roles, just basic roles to reduce the stress. Okay. And we have literal meetings about these things. Okay. And again, when we did our debriefing, the question we asked was, did we hit our goal? Yes. How were the sales reps? They were good. We did like a rotation this year, and we've had it before. We've had them there all day long. And then what happens is one sales rep ends up with 30 appointments and the other sales reps end up with nothing. And it's like this freaking chaos. And through trial and error and stress, I think we got it pretty nailed down. And, when the stress goes down, the performance goes up. And that's the thing that I've noticed over the years as we've done these things. And then next, prep your team to just be human. Okay. And this is important. Like, don't hand people a script that turns them into robots. Okay. I've seen that. I've tried it. It doesn't work. Give them a few conversation starters. Okay. And Ben's real good at this on prepping their team and stuff. Like, hey, what brought you out today? I don't know how many times I heard that. What kind of projects are you thinking about doing this year? What questions can I answer for you? Just be human. Okay. That's it. Curiosity beats pressure every time. Okay. If you act genuinely curious, if you care about them and what their pain points are, and you are genuinely there to want to solve, their problems for them. And that's sales 101 right there. And then decide ahead of time. Okay. Like, how will we follow up? How soon? Who's responsible for what? Okay. And because a show creates momentum, and we talked a lot about, maybe not on the show, but with our teams and stuff like this for us, this home show is the kickoff to the momentum for the season for us. Okay. So phase 2, during the event. Okay. This is where the culture piece really shines. Okay. During the show, your job is to not close everyone. Your job is to create a great experience. Okay. When someone walks up, they're not just, checking you guys out. They're evaluating your service, right? They're evaluating how, you make them feel. They're checking everything out. They're looking at how things were put together. They're looking at how you're dressed. They're looking at how you approach them. Did you pressure them? They're checking all of that stuff out. Okay. So do you acknowledge them right away? Do you make eye contact? Do you listen? They're checking all of this stuff out. Did you answer their questions clearly? Do you treat them with respect, even if they're just looking? Okay. Because a lot of times if they're just looking, that means they're undecided right now, which is fine. And again, you dropped a touch point. What was the lasting impression that you made on them when they walked away from that booth? Because here's the truth. Just looking is often just not ready yet. And not ready is where the future pipeline lives. And that's what I talked about earlier. And so during the event, focus on being memorable in a good way. Okay. And I don't mean loud or flashy. I mean solid, professional, friendly, helpful, consistent, and take care of your people, right? When you're there as a manager or as the owner, take care of your people. Okay. Events are marathons. Okay. Make sure people are can have access to food. Make sure people have access to water. Rotate. Feed your team. Okay. Burned out people can't deliver a great customer experience. I've seen people, I've done it myself where I've been just so burnt out and my nerves shot, and all of that matters, to take care of your team and make sure people are well rested. And one more thing. Okay. Tell stories. I love telling stories. Okay. Like about when, you're talking to a homeowner and I've seen where stories can create trust. And then, we had a homeowner with a similar situation as this. We're not bragging. Don't brag. Don't exaggerate. Okay. Just share real examples of how you've been able to help people use similar situations that they're going through. It's not a pitch. That's proof. And when your production team is right there, because a lot of them come and show up during the entire show, the production team is right there. Those stories become even stronger because the customers can see the depth of your company, right? Because anyone who knows us knows when we go anywhere and we do any event, and I don't care what it is, there's more than 10 of us there at any of these events, because that's the depth. That's the culture. That's the brand. We're all ride or dies for each other, and people see that. People ask us about that all the time. So I would say phase 3 is after the event. Okay. This is where most companies, I think, lose. I think because they're exhausted. I get that. I've seen our teardown team, things go back to normal. They don't have a debrief. You gotta have a debrief after we had a debrief on Monday. And if you want the long-term, that's why a debrief is so important, because if you want a long-term ROI, you have to do the after part almost with like discipline. And I'm going to give you a few examples of probably just like following up. Right. So following up after, you met somebody, you got their phone number, within 24 hours, you should send like a quick, hey, it was great meeting you message, and then like 72 hours later, you should probably make a personal phone call, and then within like 7 days, give them something useful, a tip, a checklist, a resource, a short video, something that helps them even if they're not going to buy today, and so on and so forth, and getting back to the whole, culture part of it, that's where, the debriefing meeting, and I saw it, even somebody had said our meeting, that was a great meeting. Okay. So we asked essentially like what went well, what felt smooth, what broke down, what did customers, ask for over and over. And that's how we kind of got to where we're at, because we try to focus on what people have been asking for, year over year, time after time. What surprised us, what was unexpected, what can we change next time? What can we do to improve the event? You're training your team essentially, okay, to think like owners, and that's a culture upgrade right there in itself. So now I want to zoom out. I want to zoom out and talk directly to business owners just for a minute here. And if you're listening to this and you're an owner or you're leading a company, I want you to consider the hidden value of this event. And essentially, this is what I've been trying to talk about the whole time. It's like you're making your business visible, okay? Not just to customers, okay? Your people get to see what we value the most. If leadership shows up early, stays late, carries boxes, talks to customers, checks on the team, and treats everyone with respect, the team feels that, okay? They walk away thinking, okay, we're all in this together. But if leadership shows up for the photo op, disappears, and then critiques from a distance, the team feels that too, okay? Culture is always being built, and I mean always. And the question that you got to ask is, are you building it on purpose or by accident? And I've done both, okay? By default. A home show is a culture accelerator. It magnifies what's already there, Okay. So if you want to use it well, all right, you show up as a leader who serves. And serving doesn't mean being soft. Okay. Serving means removing obstacles so your team can perform. It means clarity, preparation, coaching, standards. And if you do it right, your people will talk about the weekend for months, not just because it was easy, but because it was meaningful. Okay. And this has been a great recruiting tool for us too, because they see these events and people want to be a part of something big and huge with purpose. And I can't emphasize that enough. So let's talk about sales managers and sales leaders, because this is where I think you can get a massive advantage. Okay. Most sales training is done in classrooms or in a meeting. Okay. But this event is live training, real world live training. There's a chance to coach in real time. Okay. And here are a few things that I watched. Okay. And a few things that I would recommend. Number one, coach persistence. Okay. Teach your team to slow down. Okay. Teach them to take a breath. Teach them to listen. Shut your hole. You got one mouth, two ears. Okay. Teach them to ask questions instead of jumping to solutions. Okay. When a homeowner feels heard, the conversation changes. It changes everything. Number two, teach your team to qualify quickly. Okay. Qualifying isn't about pushing people away. It's about understanding where they are. Okay. Are you looking to do this soon? Or are you planning for later? Is this a want or is this a need? Are there decision makers we should include in this conversation? Okay. And you can use these, not necessarily even at a home show. You can use them anytime. Okay. Show gives you a bunch of opportunities, but discipline turns opportunities into outcomes. Okay. And here's a good leadership principle. Okay. What gets celebrated gets repeated. Okay. If your team captures great info, celebrate a great conversation, and then nobody follows up. Hold on a second. Where's Howard at? We got to get him to change these filters, I think. Okay. All right. So you're training your team to believe that effort does matter. Okay. If you celebrate effort, okay. You're building a culture where the job gets finished. Okay. Not just started, but finished. And number four, coach confidence. Okay. Through competence. All right. Confidence isn't just hype. It's preparation. Okay. At least for me, if I'm getting ready to do a speaking engagement, if I'm getting ready for a meeting, I always prepare myself for that meeting. I never used to do that, but I do that today. I try to prepare for everything, probably over prepare, but I walk into that room. I walk onto that stage. I feel more confident because I am prepared, even if it's not what I rehearsed or, but I just feel confident that I'm not going to just draw a blank. And especially in like a speaking, environment, like if you're training your team, make sure if you're a sales manager or a sales coach or whatever, make sure you're preparing yourself for these and speak from experiences. Don't make shit up. That's a huge thing. So, okay, where was I? So if you work in sales, you already know this, but it's worth hearing again. People don't want to be sold. And I saw this. Unfortunately, I saw this weekend. They want help. A home show is full of people at different stages. I heard people who were ready. I heard people that weren't sure what they needed. I heard people that weren't ready to move forward. They want help though. They're looking for answers. A home show is and some are ready. Some people are ready right now. Some people are just gathering ideas. Some people are overwhelmed. I've seen that. Some people are skeptical. Some people have been burned before, and some are excited and just need a little guidance. So our job is not to treat everyone the same. Okay. Our job is to meet them where they're at. And this works in so many different aspects of life, but meet the homeowner where they're at. Okay. And here's a mindset that will change your results. Don't chase transactions, build trust, focus on, solving their problem. And that in itself will build a lot of trust. When someone says we're just looking, don't get discouraged, because I've watched that. Smile and say something like, perfect. This is the best place to look. What kind of projects are you thinking about this year? And when someone asks a question, don't give them, a bunch of crap. Say something like if you don't know the answer to somebody's question, say something like, hey, that's a great question. Because I had to say this. Somebody came up. Ben actually knows more about our smart lighting. So I said, that's a great question. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right answer. Let me grab somebody on our team who can help you. That moment of honesty right there builds trust. Okay. And I'm the owner and I didn't know about it because Ben is the one that set that entire process up. Give them something useful. Give them a tip, give them a checklist, give them a small piece of guidance, right? We may not provide that type of service. Somebody came up and they were looking to get their kitchen and their bathroom remodeled. We don't do that. So I walk them across the hall over to my friend Barry, who actually does, additions, bathrooms, kitchens, all that stuff. And guess what? They actually came back over and they started talking to us about their gutters. Imagine that. That wasn't even my intentions. I just knew that we didn't do kitchens and baths. So, because here's what happens. Helpful gets remembered. Okay. Helpful gets talked about. Helpful gets referrals. And if you do it consistently, you'll wake up one day and you'll realize your pipeline is full, and people who already, you're already sold, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's a good way. That's a good thing. All right. So let's get practical here. If you're listening to this and you're thinking like, okay, I get it. Culture, brand awareness, touch points, long-term ROI, that all sounds great. But you're probably also thinking, where do I start? And that's actually a great question, because here's a few action steps that you can take no matter what size your business is. Action step one, pick your event. Okay. Not 10 events. Been there, did that, done that. Okay. Just pick one. Pick a home show, pick a street fair, pick a local festival, pick a chamber event, pick a community fundraiser, pick a school sponsorship. Okay. And we do all of these things. Okay. Something where your customers already are. Okay. And commit to showing up with intention. Okay. Build the experience, not just the booth. Okay. And then ask, what do we want people to feel when they walk up to us? Okay. Do we look organized? Do we look approachable? Do we look like a team? Okay. And then involve as many people as you possibly can from your company. Because I saw some people where it was just like the owner and one sales rep in their booth. I seen booths where the owners weren't even there. It's like they're hiring other companies to come out and like sell their product for them, and they don't even know what their product is. I saw that too. So don't do that. If you're the owner and you're a small business, I still consider us a small business. I still go to these events. Okay. So be there, be present, not just for homeowners, but be present for your team. Okay. Because this is where your true leadership skills and abilities get sharpened by doing these types of events. And I know I've gone down this long ass rabbit hole here, Vic. I'll try to wrap this up soon, buddy. Hopefully it's not boring too many people. Okay. Plus that'll build respect. Okay. With your team. All right. And it's a good place for you to train your team. All right. It's a good place for you to watch your team from a distance too, and how they react and how they respond to certain situations, whether it's homeowner stuff or how they're putting the booth together. And probably most importantly, it has been the best team building effort that we've ever done was hosting, or not even just hosting, but attending, events and stuff like that. Okay. And then I would say, don't forget to, celebrate the wins. Okay. Celebrate the effort, celebrate the team. All right. Culture grows where appreciation lives. And look, this doesn't have to be expensive. Okay. It just has to be consistent. So I'm going to circle back here on something that I said at the beginning. The home show wasn't successful because we just had a booth. It was successful because our team showed up. And I mean, the whole team showed up with their best efforts. Okay. And I'm going to add one more thing to that. It was successful because we treated it like it mattered. Okay. We didn't treat it like it was an obligation. We didn't treat it like it was a marketing thing. We didn't treat it like it was a sales thing. We treated it like it was a company thing. Okay. And that mindset in itself is rare. Okay. A lot of businesses are too compartmentalized. Okay. And I hate that. I do, even though I understand there has to be different departments and all that stupid D word stuff. Okay. But in our company, sales don't just sales. Operations don't just operate. Marketing doesn't just operate. Like everyone, right, pulls together. And I'm not saying because I've heard where sales will complain about, production and vice versa. But we actually host meetings where sales and production get together in the same room to try to solve issues. So then that alleviates the finger pointing and things like that. But when you have moments where the whole team aligns and shares the mission, especially something public like the home show, something tangible, you build something deeper than strategy. You build belief, and believe that can do hard things together. Belief that can represent ourselves with pride. Belief that what we do matters to customers. And I wholeheartedly believe that. We all believe what we do matters. Okay. Belief that our standards are worth protecting. Okay. And that belief is the foundation of culture. And now let me share a quick reference that I think is important. It's like when homeowners walked up and said, "That's why we came." It wasn't about ego. Okay. It wasn't like, "Hey, look at us." It was a reminder of responsibility. Okay. When people choose you, they're choosing trust. Okay. They're trusting you with their home. They're trusting you with their money. They're trusting you with their time. They're trusting you with their stress. Okay. And being visible, being present in the community should make you take that responsibility seriously. Okay. It should make you want to be worthy of the trust. So if you're listening and you lead a team, here's a challenge. Okay. Create moments where your team can earn trust together, not just in private. Okay. In public. And then celebrate the heck out of them when they do. Okay. And before we wrap this up, I want to give a sincere shout out to our entire team. Okay. To to our production team, our crew, man, who built the display. Seriously, you guys are unreal. Okay. The craftsmanship, the work ethic, and the attitude. I mean, this was probably the best year. I swear it was. Glenn nor myself was down there that entire time where the team just suited up and showed up. And honestly, I believe that's what set the entire tone. Okay. And then I want to shout out the sales team who showed up to greet homeowners and carry conversations all day. Thank you for representing us with professionalism and heart. I think that's the best way that I can explain that, and to everybody behind the scenes. Okay. The coordinating, the scheduling, the answering the phones, the handling logistics, these events wouldn't happen without every single individual in this building and over in the other building. Even if you had to be here in the building while everybody was there doing their thing, it was because of you staying here and answering the phone and crunching numbers and adding data and entering data and all the administrative stuff. Or if you were out on a roof, installing a roof that day that we were putting this thing together, thank you. Because that was true culture in action. It was brand in action. All right. And it was the best teamwork that I've seen ever, and it's going to pay dividends. I know it's going to, and it's not about the appointments and it's not about the calls. It's about pride. It's about the pride that we should take in all this, everything that we've performed this past weekend. Okay. It's about getting shit done. That's right. Getting shit done. Okay. It's about pride, because when your team can look back and say, okay, we pulled that off, and they did. It changes how they show up on Monday morning. And I've seen it. I got to experience it. So it changes how they speak to customers. It changes how they work with each other. It changes what they believe is possible. And that's the real win. So I'm going to land this plane. I'm going to get the hell out of here soon. So the strongest brands aren't built on billboards. Okay. They're built in experiences, like we got to experience this weekend. They're built when people meet you and they think, I like them. I trust them. I'm going to call them. And the strongest cultures aren't built in speeches. Okay. They're built in shared effort. They're built in weekends where the team shows up, solves problems, and supports each other and wins together. Okay. So take a look at your calendar. All right. Where can you show up this year in a way that brings your team together and puts your brand in front of the community? Where can you create touch points that compound like interest over time? And where can you create a moment your team will be proud of? Because of that, if you show up consistently and intentionally, your business will grow, not just in revenue, but in reputation, in resilience, in belief. And that's how you build something that lasts. Okay. That's it for today's episode of Behind the Tool Belt, episode 320. If this episode gave you something to think about, share it with a business owner or a sales leader who needs to hear it. And if you're part of a team, send it to your team. Talk about it. Seriously, use it as a conversation starter. And if you want more episodes like this, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen and leave a review. I think we only got a couple reviews. Please leave a review. Give it a minute. Go in there. Give us a review. It helps more people find the show. I'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks to our sponsors, TC Backer Construction, Hook Roofing Marketing, Roofle, and Project Mapit. And thank you for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. We are streaming on all major platforms. See you next week for another episode of Behind the Tool Belt.